When a paralyzed boy began interacting vigorously with a stray dog, the pup started yelping, and everything changed in an instant. Watch as a simple playtime escalates into a life-or-death situation, testing the bond between them. Don't miss this gripping story. Subscribe to The Unusual and stick around until the end. When a boy with paralysis, the pup started yelping. The boy's parents heard the commotion, and upon seeing the situation, his father immediately sensed something was wrong. 8-year-old Liam lay motionless on the fresh green lawn, his immobile limbs sprawled out as he clutched tightly onto the golden retriever beside him. An unusual neurological condition had ravaged his body, transforming the once lively and energetic boy into a shadow of his former self, leaving him without mobility from the neck down. Yet Liam's face radiated happiness and satisfaction, a sight his parents, Lisa and Michael, hadn't witnessed in ages. The wandering dog, whom they affectionately named Buddy, was sitting with him, its tail wagging joyfully. Though a stray, Buddy had become Liam's faithful companion in adversity. This overlooked creature provided solace and companionship that even medical interventions failed to offer. As Lisa and Michael watched from their veranda, their hearts swirled with hope and anxiety. They had endured so much with their son, and seeing Liam gently envelop the dog was both moving and distressing. The wooden stairs creaked under their weight as they leaned against the railing, holding hands in a gesture of mutual strength. "Look at them," Lisa whispered softly. A hint of relief glimmered in her eyes, framed by creases formed from years of worry and sleepless nights. "Liam hasn't been this engaged in ages. The dog seems to have revived his spirit." Michael nodded, his expression a mixture of worry and awe. The burden of the past years was evident in his drooping shoulders and the premature grayness of his hair. "I understand, but I still fear. What if something happens? Liam's condition is fragile. We can't take any risks." Lisa reached to reassure her husband, her gaze still fixed on the scene unfolding in the garden. The sunlight reflected off the golden ring on her finger, a poignant reminder of their enduring commitment. "I know, but for now, let's be grateful that Liam has found such companionship. He's been through enough." The couple stood in shared understanding, each lost in their thoughts, recalling the endless clinic visits, numerous health tests, and the moment they received the crushing diagnosis. Every key event marking Liam's health deterioration remained vivid in their memories. The first time he fell, the day he could no longer hold a pencil, and finally the morning he could no longer move at all. Abruptly, Liam's body stiffened, and he emitted a gentle whistle. His arms tightened around Buddy, who began to whimper and struggle, attempting to break free from Liam's grip. The serene setting shattered in an instant, replaced by a wave of trepidation. Lisa and Michael exchanged worried glances, their hands instinctively clutching each other. The ever-present sensation of fear, always lurking beneath the surface, surged back. "What's happening?" Michael asked, his voice heavy with apprehension. As Buddy continued to struggle, he let out a series of short, urgent barks, his body trembling with what appeared to be a mix of agitation and urgency. Liam's eyes widened, unfocused, his arms holding the dog in a tight embrace. But there was an unnatural stiffness in Liam's posture, a rigidity that hadn't been there just moments ago. "He's holding Buddy too tightly," Lisa observed, her voice uncertain. She stepped forward, ready to intervene. "Liam, honey, you need to let go. You're scaring him." However, Liam remained silent, his lips forming words that his parents couldn't understand. The once tranquil backyard now echoed with Buddy's frantic barks, while the flowers, once vibrant, stood as silent witnesses to the escalating crisis. Suddenly, Buddy's barks escalated, and the dog began to pace as much as Liam's hold would allow, his eyes darting between the child and the house. It seemed as if Buddy was trying to convey a message, sensing a danger that humans could not see. "Something's wrong," Michael shouted, already rushing toward them. He sprinted across the lawn, each stride bringing him closer to his son. Lisa followed closely behind, her heart racing with dread and maternal instinct. When they reached Liam's side, fear and confusion were etched across his face. Buddy continued to bark and whimper, his eyes pleading with the parents to understand the situation. The dog's anxiety intensified the rising panic. "Liam, what's happening?" Lisa asked, her voice trembling as she touched his face. finding his skin unusually cold under her fingertips. "Liam needs to be inside immediately," Michael insisted, carefully lifting Liam, who felt alarmingly light, a grim reminder of his declining health. Holding his son against him, he could feel the rapid thrum of Liam's pulse, while Lisa trailed closely, her heart pounding with dread and adrenaline. She cast a quick glance back at the spot where Liam had been lying peacefully, now marked only by flattened grass and the distressed sounds echoing through the normally calm suburb. They rushed Liam indoors and gently laid him on the couch, his strained breathing and wide-eyed panic making the typically cozy living room feel suffocating. As Michael frantically dialed 911, his fingers shook uncontrollably. The calm voice on the other end sharply contrasted the panic in the room. While Michael explained their crisis, Lisa kept a vigilant watch on Liam, her motherly instincts fully engaged. Moments later, the wailing sirens broke the silence, followed closely by the arrival of paramedics, concern etched on their faces. "What seems to be the problem?" one responder asked, immediately assessing Liam's condition as Lisa and Michael relayed their son's symptoms, their voices filled with fear. "We don't know what's wrong," Michael managed to say, despair creeping into his tone. "Is this your pet?" they inquired, and Lisa quickly shook her head, replying, "He's a stray." Liam was holding him tightly as if he were glued to him. The medical team exchanged puzzled glances, their expressions revealing deep concentration. "Okay, we need to rush him to the medical center," the lead paramedic instructed, carefully transferring Liam onto a stretcher. As they watched the ambulance speed away, Buddy released a deep, mournful howl, his gaze fixed on the disappearing vehicle. The drive to the hospital was a whirlwind of noise and oppressive silence. Lisa and Michael gripped each other's hands tightly in the car, their worry evident in their tense fingers. The familiar suburban roads transitioned into a busy cityscape, but the change barely registered for them. Their thoughts were entirely consumed by Liam, silently urging him to hold on until they reached the hospital. Upon arriving at the emergency room, healthcare professionals sprang into action, escorting Liam to a private examination room. The sterile scent of the hospital and its clinical white walls were all too familiar, a harsh reminder of the countless visits they had made in the past. Lisa and Michael followed, their pulses racing with a mix of hope and fear. They watched as doctors and nurses moved hurriedly around their son, their voices blending into a whirlwind of medical jargon that was both reassuring and unsettling. "What's happening to him?" Lisa pleaded, her voice barely above a whisper. She gripped Michael's arm, seeking comfort as they witnessed the medical staff's efforts. The lead physician, a stern-faced woman with gentle eyes, turned toward them. Her voice was calm yet authoritative, a beacon amid the chaos of the emergency room. "I'm afraid we can't pinpoint the issue just yet. Your son's vital signs are irregular, indicating some concerning neurological activity. We'll need to conduct a series of tests to determine the cause." Michael tightened his grip on Lisa's hand, concern etched on his face. But he was fine just moments ago. What could have triggered this? The physician's brow furrowed in thought. She had encountered numerous cases in her career, yet Liam's sudden decline was perplexing. "That's what we aim to discover. For now, I recommend you both stay here while we stabilize your son's condition. We'll return as soon as we have more information." Nodding in acknowledgement, the doctor turned and hurried back to Liam's room, leaving them alone with their mounting fears. The emergency room continued its frenetic pace around them. Yet Lisa and Michael felt trapped in their bubble of anxiety. As they waited in the chilly waiting room, surrounded by other anxious families, they reflected on the series of events that had brought them to this moment. The past years had been a tumultuous journey of hope and despair, minor victories overshadowed by crushing disappointments. Liam had been diagnosed with a rare neurological disorder at just 6 years old, and the prognosis had always been grim. Over time, the boy's physical abilities waned until he could no longer move without a wheelchair, and eventually he required constant bed rest. The once lively and spirited child had gradually diminished into a mere shadow of his former self, his world shrinking to the confines of his home. Throughout this ordeal, Lisa and Michael had been pillars of strength, pouring all their love and energy into nurturing their son. They had pursued every alternative treatment and promised new medication, yet nothing seemed to halt the relentless progression of Liam's illness. The emotional toll had been equally devastating. Liam's once vibrant personality had been replaced by a passive, distant demeanor, leaving his parents powerless as they watched their son's zest for life fade away. During this time of overwhelming despair, a stray golden retriever had become a regular visitor in their neighborhood. The dog, scruffy and unkempt, often lingered around their home, capturing Liam's interest from his bedroom window. Despite his debilitating condition, Liam found joy in watching the dog, and on better days he would persuade his parents to take him outside to meet the friendly stray. The dog, whom Liam affectionately named Buddy, seemed to understand the child's fragility, always approaching with caution, his tail wagging with excitement. To many, Buddy was just another unvalued dog, but to Liam, he was a treasured companion. These brief encounters rekindled a spark in Liam's eyes, and his parents marveled at the positive effect the dog had on his spirit. As they sat in the hospital waiting room, Lisa and Michael's thoughts drifted back to Buddy. They remembered how earlier that day, they had seen him prancing down the street as they hurriedly loaded Liam into the car. Caught in the chaos, they had overlooked the stray dog. Before Lisa could finish her thought, the door to Liam's room burst open, and the physician rushed toward them, her face clouded with worry. "We've stabilized your son, but I'm afraid the news isn't good," she said, her tone heavy with gravity. Lisa and Michael stood up, hearts racing. "What seems to be the problem?" Michael asked, his voice strained with unease. The doctor hesitated, gathering her thoughts. "Liam appears to be experiencing a severe seizure. We've concluded this from his symptoms and behavior, but I cannot yet identify the underlying cause. Seizures can result from many factors, and given Liam's delicate health, we need to conduct further tests to understand what's happening." Lisa felt her knees weaken, and Michael quickly guided her to a chair nearby, his own face etched with concern. "But how could this be?" Lisa asked, her voice trembling. A shadow of sadness crossed the doctor's face. "That's the troubling part. We're still trying to determine the cause. Have there been any changes in his lifestyle or environment recently?" Lisa and Michael exchanged glances, their minds racing. "No, nothing significant," Michael replied. "The only recent addition to his life is a stray dog he's befriended, but that's been happening for weeks without any issues." The doctor nodded, jotting down notes on her clipboard. "We'll keep that in mind, although it's unlikely to cause such an extreme reaction. We need to run more tests to find the root cause." As they absorbed the doctor's words, a sudden uproar erupted from Liam's room. The chaotic sounds of urgent beeping machines and medical staff's voices echoed through the hospital, sending chills down their spines. Instinctively, they dashed toward the room, hearts pounding with dread. Entering the room, they were met with chaos. Liam lay on the bed, his body thrashing as the medical team fought to stabilize his rapidly deteriorating health. Amid the disorder, a familiar golden figure appeared at the foot of the bed, its gaze fixed on the boy with an intensity that transcended animal instinct. Somehow, Buddy had found his way into the hospital, drawn to Liam's side. "What's happening?" Lisa yelled, her voice barely rising above the noise. The lead doctor turned, her expression focused. "His seizure has intensified. We're administering an emergency treatment to control it." She noticed the dog and frowned. "How did the dog get in? We need to remove it immediately." Before any action could be taken, the prescribed medication began to take effect. Liam's convulsions lessened and his breathing steadied. "His condition is improving," the doctor announced, her tone filled with hope. "The treatment is working." As Liam's vital signs stabilized, Buddy remained at the foot of the bed, his tail wagging gently. Puzzled by the dog's presence, the medical team watched in amazement as Liam's weak hand reached out toward the golden figure. "I can't believe it," the doctor murmured, shaking her head in disbelief. "The seizure has subsided, and his bodily functions are recovering quickly. It seems the medication has proven more effective than we initially anticipated. Or perhaps it was the dog," she paused. "Did you mention that Buddy started barking before the seizure symptoms began?" "Yes," Michael confirmed. "Liam was holding him. We thought Buddy was yelping because of Liam's grip. Perhaps he was signaling that something was wrong. Dogs have a remarkable ability to sense such events. Thankfully, they were together," the doctor concluded. With tears of relief in her eyes, Lisa quietly observed the scene. Bracing themselves for the worst, they were instead met with the sight of their son recovering, thanks in part to the timely intervention facilitated by a stray dog. Days passed, and Liam's health continued to improve. The medical team conducted a series of tests to identify the cause of the seizure and ultimately discovered a rare interaction between two medications that had triggered it. The treatment plan was adjusted, leading to a stable health trajectory for Liam. After a fortnight of careful monitoring and therapeutic input, the day of discharge finally arrived. As they prepared to leave the hospital, they found Buddy faithfully waiting outside, seemingly aware of their plans. A shared glance between Lisa and Michael spoke volumes. They couldn't bear the thought of parting ways with the dog that had made such a difference in their lives. "Liam," Michael said, kneeling beside his son's wheelchair, "how would you feel about bringing Buddy home?" Liam's face lit up with an enthusiasm they hadn't seen in a while. "Really? Is he ours to keep?" With her heart overflowing, Lisa smiled. "Absolutely, darling. We believe it's time Buddy had a real home, don't you think?" As they left the hospital, they were no longer a family of 3, but 4. Buddy trotted happily beside Liam's wheelchair, his tail wagging energetically, thrilled at the prospect of their new journey together. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. Even with Liam's improved health, his condition remained serious, and challenges lay ahead. But with Buddy by their side, the family felt a renewed sense of hope and resilience. They had weathered the storm together, and the unexpected bond between a child and a previously neglected stray dog had forged a powerful unity, preparing them for whatever uncertainties the future might hold. On their way home, Lisa and Michael were astounded by the unexpected turn of events that had led them to this moment. They had arrived at the hospital bracing for the worst, yet they were returning with their son and a new furry family member who had played a crucial role in bringing Liam back to them. As they watched Buddy adapt to his new surroundings, curling up close to Liam, they were reassured that no matter what obstacles lay ahead, they were ready to face them together as a family. Has an unexpected wave of joy or a simple act of kindness ever left a significant mark on your life? We invite you to share your experiences in the comments below. Your stories can inspire us all. Be sure to stay tuned for more captivating stories like this one.